Hi everyone, Jorge here, and today I want to spend a few minutes talking about empathy versus sympathy and how to distinguish one from the other in situations where it's especially tricky. So, as many of you probably know, we have a common cultural confusion with empathy and sympathy. Just like, we confuse things like guilt and shame, depression and sadness, and we don't actually uh, see the difference between them and the majority of the culture. Although there is a difference, and this difference is very important because those things yield different results, different outcomes. So it really makes sense to know the difference between the two and to operationalize on that knowledge. So basically, what is sympathy and what is empathy? Sympathy is when you are struggling with something and you come to someone and share your experience. The response is like, "Oh, you poor thing. I feel super bad for you. But I'm happy that I'm not here." Let's make it clear. I'm over here, you're over there. I don't really understand or know your experience, but it looks pretty ugly, so I don't want to even make an attempt to understand it. That's it. This is sympathy. And what is empathy? Empathy is when you come to me and you tell me about your struggle, I say, "I see you. I've been there, and I'm feeling what you feel with you now, and I'm here for you, and you're not alone in this." So empathy is healing and supportive. Sympathy is never helpful, never healing, never supportive. Like, sympathy never has any good outcome. And then the question becomes, why, when we come to people and we ask for empathy, and sometimes we even make it 100% clear, like we say what we need, like we're clear about our needs, but what we get instead, we get sympathy as their response, we get sympathy as a result. And the answer is because sympathy involves zero vulnerability. And empathy, by contrast, involves a lot of vulnerability. Because empathy is basically recognizing the emotion in another and then connecting with the same emotion within yourself. Like when you come to me and I recognize that your emotion right now is grief or shame or abandonment or loneliness or rejection, then my job when it comes to empathy is to connect with the same emotion within me. And why would I do that? It's so uncomfortable. It's so vulnerable. Like, why would I connect with those dark emotions? Like, are you really worth my discomfort? So that's the thing. That's why empathy is so hard to practice, because it involves a lot of vulnerability and emotional discomfort. While sympathy involves zero discomfort and zero vulnerability. To say, "I feel super bad for you. You poor thing. I feel really sorry for you. Just leave me alone." And that's why, sympathy is just easier. And basically, the choice of sympathy instead of empathy is basically a vulnerability issue. It reflects our cultural intolerance of vulnerability. And sympathy is just easier. And today we have a culture where the majority of people choose what's easier over what is right, even when they know what is right. And this is also the reason why sympathy is related so much to hypocrisy, because what people do when they give you a response that is based in sympathy and pity is they sort of, they don't say it outright that "I don't give a shit about you," like "I don't care about you," but they sort of pretend that they care, that they give a shit, they want to look kind instead of being kind. And this is why in many situations, it is really hard and really tricky to even distinguish empathy from sympathy, because those people who know how an empathetic response looks like in terms of words, in terms of language, they can say it, but they do not mean it. Like they may say, "I'm here for you, I honor your journey," and all those supportive things, but somehow it doesn't feel genuine, somehow it doesn't feel helpful, somehow there's this feeling, that there's this gut feeling that you don't get the result, you don't get this healing result that you get from an act of real, genuine empathy. And here is the way, here's the method that you can use to actually understand what people mean as opposed to what they say. Like, it works and it's quite effective, but unfortunately it's not applicable in every situation. It only works in a situation where the person that you're sharing this experience with can not only be present and, you know, just be with you in your emotion and your experience, but when they actually have some power to help you, when they have some power to change things for you, you know, in order to help you struggle. Because any act of meaningful help can only be based on the platform of empathy, not sympathy. Like, this I can tell you for sure, that this is one of the few things that I know for sure in life. And if they make the choice, if you're sharing your experience with someone and they make the choice to not help you, while they're aware that they can, when you make it clear to them that they can, when you communicate clearly what your needs are and what support from them looks like, but when they choose to not help you, to not go out of their way, to not change things for you, you can be 100% sure that they have zero empathy for you, that they are not feeling the same thing that you're feeling right now, that they are refusing to connect with the same feeling within themselves in order to be with you, because if they did, they would have made the choice to help you because they know that they can. And their actions, and no matter what they say, no matter, you know, how much they how much they sugarcoat their response in niceties and, you know, in politeness, that they're preferring like to be polite rather than really kind, like, you can call bullshit on that because their actions speak louder than the words. And why I say that this is strategically important is because when people deny you empathy, when people make the choice to not help you because they make the choice to not empathize with your experience, then you should be able to detect it as soon as possible, because you shouldn't waste your time on these people. And also offer your vulnerability to these people, because when you're in struggle, you're super vulnerable. And so you really need to offer your vulnerability and to share your vulnerability with people who are really interested to help you and to be here for you, and whose tolerance for discomfort and vulnerability is bigger, is big enough, and they can, and you know, that, like, you know, like, their willingness to be here for you and their willingness to help you and their willingness to protect their values is actually bigger than their own need for comfort. They can, you know, choose what's right over what's comfortable. And so when you see the opposite choice in people, don't waste your time. Just walk away. It's their issue to deal with. Like, don't allow that experience of getting denied empathy make you think that something is wrong with you, that you don't deserve that empathy. It is their issue. It is their poor skill set or their issues with comfort or vulnerability, but it has nothing to do with you. And I know that getting such response, that getting sympathy when you need empathy from people, can be very shaming, and it can actually make things worse for you emotionally. But please, 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 just have some critical awareness in these situations to understand why it happens and to not let it sabotage you further. So thanks y'all for listening today. If you find this video or this message helpful, please share it with your friends, share it with someone who might be struggling now and who might be needing empathy and getting sympathy instead, so they could know what kind of response they deserve and need. And I'll see you next time on Jorge Horror's YouTube channel. So take care and bye.